And we're back. This is Elliot and Jose coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here yet again on CCW TV. I feel bad because I know you wanted to talk about this last week. I read it. We were all set to review it. And somehow, some way, it just never got reviewed. And, it's a disservice done to the book, but we apologize. I especially want to apologize to Mr. Robert Kirkman and Ryan Otley for...
I'm sure they're really broken up.
Yeah, I know they are. Invincible, number 68. You know, every time we talk about this book on our little show here, it's really hard to find fault. And you know the thing that kills me? I was just thinking about it just this past week. Kirkman really gets a lot of attention for The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And The Walking Dead is... I'm going to just say it's a really good book because people with opinions that I respect say it's a good book, although I have not read it myself. I've been told it can be very frustrating because what Kirkman does is he gets you to care about a character and then...
That's what he does in Invincible, though, too.
But, see, with Invincible, it feels a little different. It does feel a little different, especially after the whole Adam-Eve thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell, he even said it himself in the issue, a few issues back, when it appeared as if Adam-Eve was killed. And then he said he had to even explain in the letters column, this is building to something, it's building to something, just so you know. What's happening here now, flash forward a few issues, and, Invincible it's back to dealing with rebuilding after the Invincible War.
And while he's trying to help rebuild this new villain, Dinosaurus, it's just fucking awesome, man.
Kind of a cool. And the thing is, Otley's pencils on this book, again, the guy is so bringing it on this book. It's a fun book to read. It's the storytelling is easy to follow. The dialogue is clever. This book is almost a perfect package because you have Dinosaurus shows up. He seems kind of like a cheesy character, goofy name, interesting. This would be like this will factor in later, like a '90s Image character.
Yeah.
But the great thing is that Kirkman uses him to really talk about some interesting philosophical issues here.
Yeah, and when he's talking about it, I'm reading it because what it basically breaks down to is Dinosaurus is trying to help the planet. I mean, that's his cause. He wants, he wants to save the planet, and he goes on this whole diatribe about why are you heroes fixing everything?
Yeah.
All this stuff was destroyed. It was because of you, but why are you fixing everything? Why don't you let the governments of the world fix their own stuff? That way you can get people employed. You can help, the world economy rise. But by superheroes fixing everything for them, it doesn't help anything.
And on top of that, why don't you let nature take its course?
Yeah.
If you decide to, if you keep people from dying, that leads to world overpopulation and stressing of the world's resources and poverty and misery and suffering in the long term. So you have, again, this fight, between Dinosaurus and Invincible, and Mark's like, it's like, oh, man, do I really need this?
No.
It's funny. It's just funny, and it comes across as kind of like one of those an activist type dealio.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to the issue of a villain kind of having a point of view that you can understand.
Yeah.
But just so you know, it doesn't spend the whole issue doing that.
Yeah,
really, the battle
everything we just talked about was the first 5 pages.
Yeah, the first 5 pages. Then it's over.
Yeah.
And then it's back to Mark, dealing with Adam-Eve, and he has a talk with her. And where at one point he said, you know what, I thought about just killing the guy.
Yeah, that's another thing that's been going on in the last few, not the last 2 issues because those were a side story, but stuff that's been going on with Mark is that he's kind of losing his temper and is just so fed up that he's actually considering killing people.
Right. Because if I don't kill him, just going to come back.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, every time I let a guy off the hook, he comes back after me again, and then more people suffer. And he uses the argument I've always made about Batman and the Joker. Batman refuses to kill the Joker because Batman will not kill. Mm-hmm. So doesn't that make Batman culpable the next time the Joker escapes from Arkham Asylum and kills a bunch of people?
Yeah, and one of the things that it's dealt with in here is that Invincible actually killed somebody in the last story arc, and that was Conquest. Remember, he beat him to death. He headbutted him, and his face was crushed in.
Yeah.
But then what happened was, instead of incinerating the body, the government took Conquest. The U.S. government took Conquest without Mark knowing about it and rebuilt him surgically. That's where that thing comes in. We'll get to that in a second. But that's what happened. Is he actually almost died, but because of his biology, the U.S. Government, because they have those zombie type of monsters that they can create, they were actually able to rebuild. Yeah.
And then Mark has, he has this encounter with Adam Eve's father.
Yes, he has to go over and meet Adam's. He's met Adam Eve's parents before, but he has to have dinner with them now. And the dad is kind of...
The dad, and can I tell you something? Some people are going to read this, and they're not going to buy it. I know people like this.
Yeah, well...
I know people who have the exact philosophy that Adam Eve's father has. Mm-hmm. So as I was reading this, I'm going, oh my God. Which just goes to show how Kirkman really gets relationships. I mean, he understands, and knows how to portray them in comic books. So,
and not only that, but just different personality types, too.
Oh, way different personality types. Everyone...
I mean, I don't think I've ever read this kind of dialogue in a comic ever.
It was really uncomfortable.
It
was really uncomfortable. Where
and then
Adam
you get to see how uncomfortable Mark's...
Yeah, he feels really uncomfortable. It's like Adam Eve's father has these very, very archaic notions about male-female relationships. And it was I was like... Ugh. Especially if you came from a somewhat religious background, you're going to get that a lot. And then, of course,
a couple other things that happen in this issue is that certain time has passed between this issue and the last story with Invincible in it, and his brother Oliver ages rapidly, and he's already a teenager by now. Last time we saw him, he was like 7 or 8. He resembled a 7-8-year-old kid.
Right.
So he's growing up, and then the Conquest thing really comes back to bite the U.S. government in the ass, and the joke is pretty damn funny. Because this guy didn't tell Mark about it, and the fact that Conquest he wakes up and he breaks out of this unbreakable prison that he was in
pretty quickly,
and it's pretty good.
Oh, fuck!
And then to wrap this review up. Oh, and then they throw these alien things which they've been building up to the last couple of issues. Yeah. This alien invasion on top of the whole Viltrumite war that's coming up. But then you get to the last page, and it's dealing with Adam Eve, and it was perceived by me to have something, because her powers are fluctuating. Because ever since she was brought back to life, her powers haven't been working. Right. The matter, because she can rearrange matter into any way that she wants, and when that happens, the matter starts to break down and change. So she's over at Mark's house, and she's in the bathroom. And, he's and they just had sex or whatever, and Mark's mom's gonna be coming home, and he's knocking on the bathroom door. He's like, my mom's gonna be home soon, and you left your clothes in my room. You should just get them on or whatever. And she yells at him. She's like, go away. And then he's like, all right. He's like, sorry to bother you. And this is exactly what I'm thinking, and this is exactly what a couple other people were thinking too when I was reading this, is that something is happening with Adam Eve's power. And what I'm thinking when this happens is there's something going on that she doesn't want him to see, and I'm thinking that her body biology is breaking down.
Right.
She might be some grotesque thing that she doesn't want.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's exactly, but no, I should have known better because it's Robert Kirkman. Completely different direction with the ending, and then you see the ending, and it's more powerful than what I just described would have been.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is kind of worse.
Yeah.
Because you see it, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Adam Eve is looking at a pregnancy test, and it's not telling her what she wants to hear.
It's positive.
Yeah.
Well, some girls might want it to.
Well, no, it's true, but it's not what she wants.
Right.
I mean, she's young. I mean, it's the whole thing.
And
again,
that panel, and that's
that is again. Otley, again, I said it in the beginning, and I'll just be repeating myself. This is probably
the best superhero comic book on the market.
Yeah,
now the Agents of Atlas isn't really around anymore.
Yeah. Well,
this has always been in my top 2.
One of the best to see the tweens flocking to things like Twilight and stuff like that.
You know what the sad
really,
thing
that should be that should be a popular book because I think it is so well written. Both the male and female characters in there are so strong. It really should.
And the
be
fact
more
that
popular.
this comic only sells like maybe if it's lucky, maybe, and I could be wrong, but I think it only sells like 10,000 copies.
No, I think it sells more than that. I think it's more in the 30,000-40,000 range.
I don't know about that because that's like low Marvel range. I don't think
Is
this
it?
even comes close to that. I'm pretty sure.
Well, this book it does really well in trade. I know a lot of folks are saying that they pick up.
Well,
in
that's
trade
why
from time to
Jeff
time.
Loeb always rips on.
Yeah, because he can only make no, he said that Kirkman only makes enough to be able to live in Tennessee. That's why.
Kentucky.
Kind of dickish, but
But the fact that this book isn't the number one, I mean, it is the number one superhero comic in the industry. To me, I mean, story-wise, art-wise, creatively, it's got everything.
Creatively, yeah. The issue with that is it doesn't have the Marvel logo on it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If it were a Marvel book...
Or DC.
And if Invincible if this were the story of Gambit and Rogue, it'd be selling like gangbusters. It's all about branding, and people just flock to the familiar brands. It's pure and simple. Yeah. So we apologize. We didn't get to it last week. If you haven't been reading it, make sure you do. This is a good book. You're missing it. When we come back, we're going to talk about another book from Image that we love. And only because John Layman keeps nagging us to talk about his book. We'll see you then.